Did you? No. Okay.
Right. Everybody can see you. We just have to.
When we vote for raise hands.
Yeah. Move to strike.
Okay, so
we should be all set.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today is April 16th. This is a hybrid meeting of the Design Review Committee. This open meeting of the Northborough Design Review Committee is being conducted in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Design Review Committee are allowed to participate either in person or remotely. The Act allows the Design Review Committee to meet in person and remotely, as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream or the recording of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. This meeting, are we going to feature? I mean, it's not really public comment, but I think the chief and architect Janet from HKT will be here. Yes. So that would be public comment. So we will feature public comment today. Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear us? All right.
I can. Hello.
Oh, great. This is new equipment here in the room. So this is our first hybrid meeting with comments. So we wanted to make sure it works.
Okay.
Sounds good. It's very clear too. All right. First off, I just wanted to start off by trying to clear up some of what's going on today. Normally, I'm on the planning board. I'm a planning board rep. And normally when an applicant comes in front of the planning board, they've pretty much completed design review. So with the planning board hearing the fire station tonight, last week we decided to post this meeting for today in case we wanted to write a review letter before the planning board meeting tonight, because we don't want to hold back the fire station. And so we wanted to discuss that today. And that's why I sent out an email on Friday to a big group of people, just trying to figure out if the design team from HKT and the fire station are coming back to the design review next May 9th, I think it is, or if everything's complete and that we can write our memo today before the planning board tonight. So that's what I was trying to clear up this morning. If you will be back in front of us in May with new information.
So Janet Slamenda from HKT Architects. We had scheduled with Lori a while back all the meetings, the May 9th meeting being a meeting that we would present sort of an approach to a spreadsheet with the guidelines and how we had met them, final selections, any missing pieces from staff comment that would needed to be added to that. So that was our plan for the May 9th meeting. You know, so I don't know technically what new means versus continuation of a process, but you know, the only thing that you probably haven't seen is the dumpster enclosure, which we do all the time, and we had planned on adding that. I think that was one of your comments from before, right, Lori, if I'm not mistaken about that. So we were waiting till we had, you know, a lot of pieces in the puzzle and then to do that. So it's you know, imagine a rectangle with it's made out of, I mean, a rectangle, you know, depending on the size of the dumpster, brick on 3 sides, and then a gate, some sort of a gate that can easily be opened. But we'll be designing that or detailing that going forward. So that was the only sort of new thing, I think. But there are pieces to be tied up, little details that we had, and I know some of these can go before the planning board. 7-inch curb, things that some details that remain. So you know, I think the confusion for me is understanding what new means too. So that would be helpful. That's the only thing I can think of right now. I mean, I haven't had any time to really think about what else would be new. Fine tuning all along the way. We're in design development, so new things are happening every day. But I don't think it fundamentally changes the shape of the or of the building itself. So
Just to prep, to, because we met on January 25th and February 29th. I went back to the February 29th minutes. And Lori, you had mentioned something about the trees. Do you feel like that has been finalized?
Yeah, so I noticed on the plan set that was submitted to the planning board, they definitely beefed up the landscape plan. So there are a number of additional trees that are shown on the planning board site plan, as opposed to the site plan that was submitted to design review committee late in February.
Those were some of the things I was taking out the minutes over the weekend. I'm like, oh, we never finalized these, but they weren't on your letter for tonight. So it's hard for me being the rep to say, well, we had some things outstanding, but they're not there. So I just wanted to tie up loose ends.
Now, if they're going through the guidelines and noting how they conform with everything, do we want to give them the new checklist to use that?
We have to use the old checklist, so we can't provide them. So the checklist that I had prepared includes the design standards as well as the design guidelines in the active voice as they stood at the time of submittal of the application. So the wording that has been discussed at the last couple of meetings is a change. So they don't have this, but they have the design guidelines book as well as the design standards. So this is what you should use, not the revised.
Well, his revised says not applicable. It says the new wording hasn't been approved. So
yeah.
He marked off the ones that were.
And there's only a couple, and really none of them affect this project. So.
And that was another thing, like to help them figure out if we're done, do we just go through this checklist today and maybe there isn't anything left for them to come back to us on, and then we can just forward something to the planning board. It got confusing for me because all of a sudden they're going forward. We weren't done. I didn't know where we stood, and I didn't want to be the ones to hold them up if you think you've received everything you wanted and we think we've received everything. Well, so that was the point of the meeting today.
I'm going to ask, I know a couple of meetings ago I'd asked for landscape elevation because all I saw was from the top.
Yeah.
And all it said was, I don't usually visualize these things from the top. I don't fly around. I don't have a way of seeing it that way, but I would like to be able to see an elevation that shows me where the placement is and that sort of thing. Now, maybe that came in and I didn't see it.
Actually, Janet and I were discussing that right before today's meeting, so I know she has an update on that.
Yeah, I mean, we had held off doing that elevation until we got all the landscape and site comments, and we've received none so far, except for Lori's comments on trees, which we've had added to. And of course, comments here and there, but we were waiting for that landscape review of all the plantings before we did that, because our landscape architect will be producing the site drawing that'll include all the plantings and layouts and things like that. And then we'll have our building, which will be placed on top of that or within that, embedded within that. So we're still waiting for comment from the design review committee on what to do. And I was actually just talking to my landscape architect about it, and he said, do we have a time frame for it? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything yet. So if as soon as you get that to me, we can put it in the queue to be produced. I mean, we're going to have to we'll do the rendering anyhow for long-term use by the town for, the project, but we are waiting to hear from you. So.
Who was that Dave Aarons? I mean, Dave, I never saw anything. I never saw anything to comment on, other than the fact I wanted to see an elevation of it. And I know that Lori, the last time we talked, Lori had talked about some other trees and there were bigger trees, but again, hearing that it's going to planning, do we even need to be here? This is going directly to planning with all these things, and why are we doing this extra?
That is not unusual. So of course it's hard to foresee how long a project is going to be before design review. So it's not unusual that they file with planning during the process of getting approval from design review. So remember, the advertising is approximately a month. So it's like 3 weeks to a month, depending upon which paper we use. So that's why that happens.
But normally, I mean, part of the things that we look at is landscaping,
right?
So that we give a comment on landscaping. If we don't get enough and waiting for us to give comments on that, we don't know what we're supposed to give comments on, kind of leaves everything up in the air. I mean, even if it were sent to planning, then we should have gotten a copy of it, I think. So we could make some remarks to it. I don't have anything to make remarks on. All I know is that, you know, we met a couple of times ago and David was supposed to be able to make it and he didn't make it. He was going to look at the trees and that sort of thing, the shrubs, and that's where it stands. Now,
he was here on the 29th. I have that in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know, did we have the final plantings? There was a lot of talk about the trees and the type of trees. So I don't know if he was given the final of the landscaping.
Yeah.
And I could email it to him. I talked to him today. You know, we called this meeting last minute and he already has a job for today. This isn't our normal meeting time.
Right.
But I do think he would review it offline and give us a recommendation if we wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't anticipating having this meeting because so this was something, you know, we met on Thursday and then this was kind of thrown out there. So last I heard before Thursday's meeting, we were meeting on May 9th. So, you know.
Well, they were going to the planning board. That's what threw it off, is we weren't done yet and it was going to the planning board. And I want to know, so do I go to the planning board tonight, just say design review isn't complete, we need, you know, they'll go through the presentation like some applicants do, go through the major presentation and there's some comments, but we haven't received, you know, we haven't finished the design review. We haven't gotten a letter from an engineer or the DPW yet, or any of those, have we? I didn't see them.
We didn't receive anything from a DPW. We just got a letter today. It was finalized from Fred, which I'm going to forward to you.
Okay. So it is kind of last minute. So I don't see the planning board being able to not continue it tonight because we're just receiving information still. And that was my concern with last week. I didn't want the design review to be the one to hold up the planning board. So I thought we'll meet today and discuss it. But it sounds like there are other things that we normally get as a planning board that are just coming in. And I do, and I was gonna say it today, but I could say it now too. Like, I know at one point, the chief had said he talked to Scott and Scott was okay with the snow storage and taking it off site, but I'd like to get that in a letter from Scott, you know, for the planning board as part of the review.
I haven't received anything from Scott. He was on vacation this week.
Oh, okay. And I don't know, should we ask Scott or the applicant? Well, actually we would.
Yeah.
It's all intertwined. It's just different than any application we've ever gotten because it's the town and the town. So as a board today, I mean, do you guys want to go through the check sheet and see what we have left outstanding for them? They have some more information for May 9th.
Well, you're going to meet tonight, right?
Yeah,
the planning board. So I guess we should leave it up to what the planning board wants to do, if they want to continue it or if they decide that. I mean, I really can't speak for the planning board. We're just here to get the information so that you guys have something to overview and work with. So, I mean, it's funny because I'm thinking we're just going to do the rubric today and not this, but.
I thought the rubric was for the fire station, just so we can make sure all the
Well,
same
I left the last meeting thinking that I needed to make the changes that we noted. I was gonna send it to her, of course, that was what, Thursday, today's Tuesday, and it's a holiday weekend in between, right. So I didn't finish that day yesterday, so she's just seeing it this morning if she's even seen it yet.
Yeah,
so. I have not seen it, and we cannot apply the changed language to the fire station, right? Because they filed months ago.
Yeah, we
have nothing applicable.
Yeah, so that's why it was my understanding. That's why I told you to use this, because this is the language from the zoning bylaw. And the language from the design guidelines just in the active works.
I think they're both the same.
No, because you guys made changes to
Oh, I
the
know, but
language.
he wrote on
Well,
there, they're not
actually-
applicable until we approve them. So it wouldn't be applicable with any applicant until they're approved.
Right, so they don't even appear here on this one.
Yeah, but it's similar, they're similar.
Well, I was saying, you only make the changes, I mean, as far as changing the sentence structure.
Correct.
And then we changed those 11 things of which don't apply here.
Don't apply.
Right.
So
As
we're just gonna go with the
But
original
but it is all
language.
noted on the checklist,
Mhm.
what was changed, and I put April of 2024. The language changed, and I put the old language there also.
Yeah, I think we all understand that,
Yeah.
that they haven't been changed yet, so we would never
But
apply it.
we haven't integrated the bylaws, which is,
This integrates the zoning bylaws.
Okay, so. So the way it stands right now, go to the planning board, just say, we're not done with design review yet, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and they can decide whether or not they want. Wait.
Okay, I just don't wanna, I think we should meet before May 9th and go through the check sheet, I just wanna be ready and I want them to have everything. Since it's, and I wanna go through, I went through the minutes, what was missing, like I said before, so.
Just to reiterate,
Yeah.
I'm moving into grant writing.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna have time to meet every single week like we have been doing
Great,
over the last month. So I'm hoping that we don't meet before May 9th.
then I think we should go through the check sheet.
But this is
Or we're gonna do
what
this
the
on May 9th.
regulations that currently exist.
Right.
So it doesn't matter for the fire station project because they don't have to adhere to
Right.
the revisions.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I mean for our own letter. But, you know, we still would go through the
so when it
guidelines
was really
ourselves.
nice out yesterday, I didn't have to be creating the checklist. That's good to know.
So on May 9th, wouldn't you go through the checklist then?
We could do that. Write the letter, I was just thinking if there was anything missing, it would be nice to give it to them before May 9th, because I wouldn't wanna have another meeting. That was
Well, why
my,
don't you just go through it now, because they're here. And so, you know, it shouldn't take very long. And then if there's information that you feel that is missing, you can tell them now. And because I'm sure on May 9th, they don't want to come back.
right, that's
That
what
would
I'm
be
saying,
like the last meeting,
right,
the recommendation letter would come from that.
right, that's why I wanted to make sure, because I don't wanna keep having to come back.
Did we get to see the choices and everything? I don't know if that ever came before us, what they actually went with the bricks and the metals and that sort of thing.
I think, Chief Parente was saying that would be what you'd bring in front of us May 9th, the colors.
so I don't want to speak for Janet, but one of the things we had talked about was presenting a final palette, because we had brought it all to the last fire station building committee meeting. Everyone looked at them and then had a lot of input. We made the final vote. The committee made the final vote at that meeting.
That meeting. So
Fire
did
station
zinc,
building committee meeting.
so did zinc get, the zinc metal, did that get decided that's what was going to cover the windows and such? Or what did you do? What did you decide to do for metals? Aluminum, zinc, combo, what ended up happening with that?
The zinc is out, and we're gonna use metal that we can color match. So I think that'll all be aluminum. So that was I believe that's I have to go through my notes, but I didn't, I don't have those notes in front of me. I wasn't prepared for that, but so I think that was all decided at that night, that decided that there was too much variation with the zinc. And we weren't using zinc on windows. We were only using zinc on metal that was sort of flat surfaced stuff. So the doors weren't going to be that. And that was part of the question, is how can we color match everything together? And so decided to take that out of the mix.
Yeah, the big concern from the committee was it wouldn't match and it wouldn't look good.
Yeah.
With the zinc. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted it to look homogeneous, so it was all the same color as opposed to different shades, and we couldn't do that with the zinc.
And just reminding everybody, we can't control the actual color until because it's publicly bid. So, you know, we hope that they'll give us exactly what we put in our basis of design, but we cannot guarantee that. It's not a, it's open, it's a public bid. And so it's a whole different game. Can't pick a color or material and expect to get it exactly. So that's the way it works.
Yeah, so I just wanted to double check on the material. So it's a colored aluminum, is that how it is? Or what does the metal?
I'm sorry, I
what's
can't hear you,
metal?
Lisa.
I know, it's hard.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to hear you too.
Right.
What's the metal what is it? Is it aluminum colored?
It's aluminum. It is an aluminum. Yep. And the windows are as well. There's metal, there's metal roof, and that's a standing seam roof, which is different material. But and so we're trying to be able to the roof is going to be a different color than the windows, the doors, and any flat panels, you know, that are on the material are all going to try to be color matched the same. And they felt that with the colors that we have available to us, that was the best way of getting the best matching, you know, knowing you're getting 3 different manufacturers are going to providing these materials. So, you know, they do have some standard colors that they use, certain paint that is fairly available. So that's the way the committee decided. So.
And did it ever get remember the front entrance? I asked about having an elevation of that as well. Have the front entrance, the doors, the arch and all that, was that ever put together?
Well, that was part of, you know, we did some quick studies for that. That was member the outdoor meeting. There were pictures of the entry that were put forward on that day, so you could see it a little bit more detail. So I don't know if you looked at that, Lisa, at all that day. That was part of
that set of plans should have. That's for the planning board, right? Planning board meeting.
No,
I don't know. I don't know. No,
I
probably
only had
not.
a really big one.
Well, this is March 18th, so.
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Fine, it's on the table.
No, that's okay. This is from the one before. This is April. I mean, February.
So Lisa, were you looking for something more specific that we can help you with? Because we're only doing this one rendering, you know, sort of from one point of view, and it won't be close up at the building. It'll be much further away in order to pick up the whole line of the building and trees and landscape and driveways and blah, blah, blah.
Bricks on the bottom, so I don't think that's the most recent.
All right. Well, as I look at page, is there a page A301?
Yeah, this should list up the version.
I don't know if I have that. I mean, let me see. I didn't know you were going to ask specific things, so I don't have my PowerPoints open and things like that. But I do know that we did a couple renderings up close. Let me see if I can find them while you're talking.
Yeah, that looks like the only one that's there because it's again, it's just flat. It doesn't give you an indication of what it's really going to look like. Just
right. Yeah. You need a isometric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're not going to do it. Because you can't see the.
Yeah, there's no difference.
Yeah, they haven't given us a 3D
of any of it.
We've done, you know, a lot of our drawings are 3Ds, 3-dimensional. Is that what you're talking about?
This isn't with the front. Exclusively with the landscaping and the, you know, the door.
Oh no, at least you're never going to see the landscaping along with that until we get comments about the landscape, because these are very expensive and time-consuming events to put these together. So you know, our landscape architect, you know, we have to do the final drawing that he pops into the landscape. These are very complicated. You know, this is not like simple things to do. So, you know, we're waiting to get your comments, and we're waiting to get the colors selected, and we're waiting for a lot of things to have happen before we put it together. So if you're looking for a rendering that includes all of that, you don't have that.
All right, but even at earlier on, I'd asked just to have something that you could see from a little bit of an angle to know the overhang and the.
Well, we do have, yeah. Like, I mean, you can see. Like, yeah. I'm gonna try to show you one thing.
No, that drawing not bad. If you had a full size one.
Is it okay if I share something?
Yes, let me give you permission.
Yeah,
but
because they have the shadows, so it really helps.
Yeah. So I just want
You
to,
should be all set
People
to
need
share.
see that.
can you tell me if you can see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of-
Yeah, so I just want to get this as big as I can get for you. So you can see, the bike rack, you can see the entry that and the windows and the shadows. We did these as part of the color. This is part of the color thing, but you can see the entry, Lisa. But of course, it doesn't really have plantings or anything because we really wouldn't put plantings on a drawing that we were trying to pick color from because then it would obscure all the all of the plant all the
Right.
details of that. So that's the entry. I don't know what you were thinking of. You wanted to do with all the plantings and everything, right?
Well, I think both. I mean, if you're gonna present at a town meeting, it has to have more than this.
Oh,
So
sure. Oh, absolutely. And we absolutely have planned on so like this image here has a few trees on it, just for some context, and this one here. And you can see, like the retain, let me put a bigger, so, you can see some trees and you see some driveways, and that's the transformer, I believe. And you see shadows on this, and then on this side, you see some of the retaining wall behind it. So this, in the end, we would do, and this is just a straight on elevation, and that shows some trees too, but those were just really for context as opposed to um, any significant detail. So that's, you've been always looking at three-dimensional drawings. You've been able to see multiple sides at the same point. You see shadows, materiality, colors, some of the trees, retaining walls, some of the paving. You've been always able to see that. The final one will have, some more landscape elements that represent the trees or plantings or the site sign or whatever ends up in the final project.
we have one page that says landscaping materials, I imagine. I think I saw that.
Yeah,
So
we
when
sent that
asking-
probably a couple months back. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're asking for more information, do you want us to decide where these plants are supposed to go?
No, the
No.
plan,
What do you mean by more information from us for landscape?
the landscape plan includes all that locations of all the plants that you see. So if you look at the landscape plan, I think their planting plan, I'm trying to visualize this, but it's up in the left-hand corner. It tells you how many X plants, and it'll tell you that there's 93 blueberry bushes. I have no idea what they are. But if you look at that, and then you correspondingly look on the plan, you'd be able to locate every one of those blueberry bushes, if it was blueberry. I mean, I'm just making that up. So you can see that. So you have those plans. You've had them for a couple months now, and
This is something Dave was gonna look at.
Yeah,
Is that what
Lori
you
had asked for
understand?
changes about trees, so I just didn't know from
no,
January to March what changed.
Yeah, so if you compare the two, you can see, so what I had asked for, we had the conversation over the phone about the number of trees along the frontage.
Yeah,
And their concern was if they had too many trees, then it would obscure the sight distance. So I had suggested moving some of the trees to the side of the building or maybe behind. So what I was more interested in is the number of trees overall and obviously the species. So I am satisfied with the planting.
And we had talked before that there might be underground retention, but it's gonna be a rain garden.
Yes, so in this updated landscape plan, they have the planting plan for the rain garden as well. So they have black-eyed Susans and a couple other perennials,
Some of those
southern bushes there.
In goldenrod, I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to pull out goldenrod.
Yes, I'm battling it in my yard currently.
our landscape architect won't plant any tree that they don't think is going to hold up, even if they're a much loved tree, if they're a danger of blowing over, things like that. I know there's some pretty street trees that are terrible trees to put on. They won't put them on the drawings because they know that they'll be disastrous. So I hope you'll you know, I think Ray Dunnett's really, and Nancy Dennick, the woman who does a lot of planting plans in the office, are really good at getting a variety of trees that are that will work well in your community. So I think you'll see that in the planting. I mean, no two people looking at a planting plan agree. I'm going to agree 100% on every tree you plant, but I can rest assure you that our landscape architect is seriously looking at this with an eye towards not just looking good, but sustaining on the site for a long, long time. So, um, so
yeah, the salt tolerance, like in particular in the parking lot locations, is super important. So you want to make sure that they're going to be able to withstand the parking lot plowing and
wind, a big issue when some of these really lovely trees will blow over in a very weak windstorm. So they won't put things like that on. Again, if they don't feel that they will serve the town of Northborough well, they will not put them in. But it's a conversation, you know, obviously. That's why we were hoping to get some comments on some of the other plantings and everything like that. So, but once we do that, once we get your comments, or if you say to me, forget about the comments, just work with what you got, we can do that too, but we were holding off doing anything until we got more information.
Email Dave after this meeting, L1 from this design, and he probably will get back in the email, not today, before planning board. But I think last time we were talking about changes, so I don't know if he knew to review it, but I'll send it to him today. And one thing I think you would ask about, Lisa, was the fence detail. Is that the final fence, or that could change, or it has to do with public bid? It might change.
Yeah, are we talking about the fence on the retaining walls?
Yeah, I'm on the landscaping page. Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's up high
one fence. And so that's the one that looks like a wrought iron fence. So then one of my comments was, you know, what's the dumpster fence? So I didn't know if
we weren't
going to go around the dumpster too.
We were going to put masonry around the dumpster, and then, you know, the face of it would be a material, you know, different. I want to try to see if I can find you one, but so I didn't know. Were you thinking it was just going to be a fence with wrought iron?
So I wasn't sure whether the fence detail that you had proposed was for both the top of the retaining wall and the dumpster. So I had suggested around I'm fine with it on top of the retaining wall. I think it'll look nice. But around the dumpster, I was suggesting something that was opaque.
Yeah, so no, we usually do them in masonry. Yeah.
Okay, so you do like a brick wall?
Yep. A brick that'll match the brick of the building typically. Now in the back, I mean, sometimes they're in a more prominent location in the end that we're putting back there, but we do usually make them solid. And we've done everything from, you know, stockade fences, depending on the location, to masonry, which you see more in public buildings so that it's really self-contained. It can keep clean, nothing can get in it, you know, sort of that approach. So that's what we were planning on. I don't know what our estimator owned as far as an enclosure, but he knows that we usually do masonry, but I don't know the answer to that one. I'd have to look. So
I would have been super excited if you just said you were willing to do a white vinyl fence.
Oh,
I didn't want the chain link fence with the privacy slats that a lot of folks try to propose.
Yeah, we don't tend to. I've never done one of those, so I don't know that one. And whether it has, I mean, I gotta like a final location, you know, whether it needs 2 sides or 3 sides, but we usually do it as you know, a masonry enclosure. And we match it, you know, so if there's some detail of the building that we want to match, we match it, you know, depending on where it's going to be seen. Yours is pretty hidden. No one will be going back there. Not even probably the public, although the public technically, if they park in the most rear spaces, they could probably see it. Anyhow, yeah, so.
I have a question about the fence, and I could ask it tonight. I'd say that was my whole thing. I asked today tonight, but it's probably Bob too. Question like the fence on top of the wall is 42 inches high. Maybe that's what's called for by code.
Yeah, that's code.
It should be higher because it's on a 30-foot high wall. Like I know, like pool fence has to be 4 feet, so I would think this would have to be 4 feet. If they don't want people falling in a pool, I wouldn't want anyone falling over a
There's
wall.
no building code requirement for an outside.
Yeah, but we,
42 inches.
They
is
have
not-
one, yeah, even 42 inches is what commercial ground is. So
But that doesn't mean you can't ask for it taller.
Yeah, I would-
48.
I wouldn't even asking for taller. I went up to Northborough Crossing on their big wall and the fence was higher than me and I'm 5 feet 5 inches, so. I'd like to see if we're gonna have a 30-foot wall, a fence higher, so someone couldn't get over it.
that's what you guys have argued about.
Right, I just didn't know if there was
I don't
any
have, no,
code.
if it's attached to a building or a walkway that's attached to a building, then yes. I have involvement with it, but if it's on the top of a retaining wall. It's up to you guys to figure out.
I'd like to see at least 30.
Yeah, well, I think you can bring that up tonight. I mean, there's gonna be some.
But like Mark said, 42 inches is the typical standard for a cut. Or a handrail or retaining wall, in a commercial industrial setting.
Another thing I thought of while you had the building front up, I was concerned about we've talked about it once before about the roof, like a metal roof, and I know there's a little catch-all, so when the big slab slides off the front. But I was looking at a lot of buildings and the way this pitches, so that will slide towards the door. Like there should be some sort of overhang over the door. Like I even looked at Millbury, I had a whole bunch of pictures and a lot of them have an overhang versus scooting under. Because if you're coming up towards the building and that sheet lets through. I was up at UNH once and they had signs everywhere. Be careful for sliding snow. And even the town hall downtown, they've had to put up scaffolding in the past because the snow slides off. And
we do snow tabs and pipe rails, and I don't know what our ton of details. So we do snow tabs on any pitched roof that comes close to an entry.
It
So-
Right,
shows
but-
on some of the drawings,
but would it stop it?
It will stop until it starts to melt and then it comes in smaller chunks. So,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, we talked about that.
We did talk about it,
Did we
but
get any?
I was gonna add that to the review letter that I would, I would request some sort of overhang over the door, so.
Mhm, okay.
Well, there
door
is the
It
front
is
door.
recessed.
Yeah, but you have to open the doors.
Yeah.
It's recessed, but you're still like a flat, right? When you open that door?
Or even
So what's
walking
over
up
your-
to it.
Are you talking the front door, Lisa?
Yeah,
Can you
The
show
front
that
entry.
image?
Yeah,
I
that-
thought you had that, I think there is an overhang.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I'm showing it. I don't I
There's
don't
a-
remember the exact dimension, but there's several
There-
feet, 3 or 4
There's a 4
feet.
foot, it's a 4 foot overhang.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
2 feet. We increased it to 4
Yeah.
feet based on the concerns of the design review.
Yeah, Lisa, you asked to that, and we did push it back per your request. So
right,
when
but
you
I
step
don't
out
think,
these doors, you're undercover.
but if you were walking up to the building as the snow slides off the front, it still wouldn't protect you, like as you're walking in, the snow's falling off, like if you had a roof overhang that projected out, then you would under the overhang before you were in the doorway. Like
Are you
this,
talking about this high roof?
Yeah, so the snow
Yeah.
falls off that and comes straight down.
Well, we do, like I said, we do snow tabs, we have a gutter, we have pipe rail.
but the way the size of the roof and the way it faces, I asked a couple people and it might stop it, it might not. I don't know, I'm not, I
Well-
don't have experience in it, but I just would put that as a note on the memo if I sent it that
There,
concern,
there is
but-
a problem with doing huge overhangs. They're hard to support, they're costly and expensive to build. And if snow still comes down, at some point it'll come off. It doesn't matter if it's, and I don't remember our overhang detail. Probably, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's as small as 9 inches, but it's probably already a foot. I'd have to look at it right now. So you already have a bit of an overhang, and we would have, that's a downspout right there. I don't know if you can see it, but that is a downspout. So we are directing the water away from the entry immediately. And like I said, pipe rails and snow tabs usually do it. So, okay.
Are
All right.
there doors, by the way, are these doors here, and then you stay a little hallway or whatever, and then it goes another set of doors going into the,
A vestibule? Are you talking about a vestibule? Yeah, there's a vestibule. It's required by Massachusetts code. So there's a door, I think it's 7 feet. Beyond that, there's another set of glass to that, but that's required by code. We do them all anyhow. Makes sense, but it's required by code. So you already have that. So you go in, then you have another area, walk off mats, whatever, to clean your feet. And then you have another set of doors to go into the lobby.
This is something we haven't even asked before. If somebody were to come to the fire station at midnight, would they walk through these doors or would there be another access door?
At night? No, this would be the only door the public has access to.
Okay, so that would always, I guess the chief knows this, but that would be something that if at 12 o'clock at night somebody came to the building and there was a problem, they could come through that door and come into whatever area. I don't believe Lorraine's going to be there at midnight, but if there was a problem and they wanted to come in, say even if there was a car accident, even though it's a police thing and they see the fire station and they want to come straight into the fire station because there's a problem.
Yes, they
have those doors always open?
You have to build the exterior doors will be open, the interior doors will be locked.
So then they'd have a buzzer to get through that.
Yes.
Well, a buzzer to notify us and we'd come see them, yeah.
That's a matter of hardware, Lisa.
Yep.
I know I've been at a couple of there's a state police barracks and they have separate entrances. They have a front entrance and then at certain times that's not even open, it's a side entrance. But
so they have to be, they have to be very secure buildings. There's too much equipment, too much stuff that people can get into, and there's living spaces for the staff, and so we control the movement even within. Once they enter in through the vestibule, they would, as the chief said, that inner set of doors would be locked after a certain amount of time, and then even if they got in there's a lobby, and those doors are locked. They could get in, there's a limit to where people can go. Now, there are other doors, of course, leading from the building because there's emergency egress all over the building, but those would all be locked. Those are all a matter of us controlling the security through hardware and keying, and that is a whole serious endeavor by experts who lay this out. And so every one of those will be secured per the direction of the chief. And
then they're going to be electronic handicaps. We hit that little square button in the door.
There will be, building will be accessible. This front entry will be accessible to the public. Absolutely.
As a safe haven, remember the state law, if someone has a baby, they want to drop off, whatever. That's why the front doors are open, so they can drop something off inside in a safe area, but they can't get all the way into the station. That's why that's set up that way.
Okay, so what we have left to talk about, it sounds like the landscaping, and they were going to bring in colors. Do we want to meet again on May 9th, or do you want to do a memo today and say that the landscaping is fine with approval by, Aaron if he writes a letter? Or do you want to come back and we can talk about it? He will be here on May 9th, so we could. It sounds like the planning board is going to get continued anyways, so we could,
Well, they're waiting too in terms of it. They want to have some information before they come. So we can't wait until the 9th to get them. So Dave has to either do something or we have to look at it and decide. Because I'm assuming that we're picking out some of the stuff. What other directions could we give?
Right.
That's, if you're waiting for directions from us, you got to have to get some directions. So somebody's got to do something, right? So.
Yeah. And he did call and he was going to come today, but I'm like, he was gonna have to walk out on a job. And I said, well, I'm not sure exactly which direction this is gonna go in. And I didn't want him to leave a job site. And so I'm sure if I email him after this meeting, he can review it and get it back to us before May 9th.
So then that's your call then at planning board tonight. Well, however you do that.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to discuss?
And I don't think we need to. There's no reason we shouldn't look at colors. It's already been determined anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah, we probably don't have to look at colors. Cause you guys already voted on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think in our last memo, we mentioned the colors.
Well, we
we
mentioned we like the contrast,
So
but
it's
it's
pretty
probably
much-
not gonna be done that way, so it's just. we don't need to do that.
Technically, our guidelines just say as long as they match or.
Yeah.
whatever, so.
Okay, so we'll come back May 9th to write a memo. After hearing from Dave,
Yeah, but
if the planning board doesn't go
if the
forward.
plan doesn't look what to do. All right, and that gives them, I mean, because they're not gonna bring anything new to the planning board.
Well, the planning board's never seen them, so this is all new for the planning board.
So we have to submit by May 2nd, correct, Lori, for the May 9th meeting? So we'll need some time if there's comments that are of significant. I don't see anything huge from what you said here. It really is in your court to the landscape. I don't know if at this point we'll be able to get that rendering, but I don't think that rendering is germane to the conversation either. We'll get it done, absolutely, if we can get it done in time. But we're screaming towards a design development package. It's got to go to the estimator in a couple of weeks. So we have a lot of other stuff on our plate. But if you could let me know what those things are going to be as soon as possible, then we can hopefully be responsive. So the
Janet,
more we know, the better we end. Say that again.
Talking about you coming back to the planning board, did we plan on you coming back May 21st?
Yeah, yes, you did plan on us coming back on May 21st.
Okay, good.
You told me that you thought it would take 2 meetings.
Yeah.
So we put it in our calendar for May 21st, and which means our drawings have to be there sometime
1 week in advance.
1 week for the second meeting. To a planning
Correct,
board
so I would need the updated drawings on the 14th.
on the 14th of May. Okay, so it's not the 3-4 week period. It's just a week for your second
Yeah,
meeting.
just a week. Yeah.
Just a week.
I
Okay,
mean,
good.
of course, if they're ready to go sooner than that, I'd be super excited. That would give me more time. So
Well, it depends on what we
please-
hear.
please don't wait to the 14th.
No, we'll try. We try not to, but
No, That's the worst case scenario is the 14th.
yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think, there's not for your initial comments, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff there, but it's really stormwater management that might be an issue, things like that. So, we had it in our schedule to do so I'll let the engineers were actually asking me that, when is it due? And they didn't think it would take the 3 or 4 weeks. And I said, okay, but I got to get a real date. So May 14th. Okay.
And like I said, I just got Fred's letter today.
Okay.
So as soon as I get back to my desk, I'll email that to you.
Okay.
So he had some questions on the stormwater mitigation plan.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up. So he had a number of comments. Some of them are just his standard comments that he gives us every time.
Okay.
But there are a few questions and other.
And would it be good for Nicole Capistrano and Jim Jackson from PAR to talk directly to Fred? Is that like a conference call? Is that acceptable, or is it?
I mean, especially if they're confused about some of his comments.
Okay.
I think it's always beneficial.
Okay.
Just note that he's retired semi. So he he only comes in a few hours a day.
Okay.
And generally Thursday and Friday, I don't see him.
So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in the morning, or a few hours?
It really does vary.
Okay, so
Depends
why
on
don't
what's going on.
Okay,
So
why don't you send the letter to me? I'll get it to Park Corp. They can come back and say, boy, it would be beneficial. Can Lori set up a meeting?
yes,
that?
I'd be happy to do that. for
Okay,
you.
good. Okay.
Amy, I just want to clear, were you guys going to send something to Scott asking for a letter from him about snow removal?
I was gonna bring that up to the planning. See, it's hard. I'll have no questions tonight and bring them all up now. My question for the planning board was to get a letter from Scott. We usually get a letter from the DPW.
Yeah.
So if in advance, if you want to, or Lori wants to reach out to Scott, he usually will review like that there's, a letter saying that if there's not enough room to store the snow, that the DPW is willing to remove it.
I'll send him a text right now so I don't forget.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. I will reach out to him.
And usually there's the
do you need
water
a letter?
and hookup fees that will probably be waived.
Do you need a letter from the fire chief approving everything?
I was gonna ask that question. We usually get a fire chief letter that the corners
Yeah,
are.
I think we need that letter.
I do think we need
Absolutely.
We have to put them all in the record with the check off, you know?
Just because you leave it in a couple of years doesn't make it unimportant.
A couple of years. I don't know. You're being yeah. Maybe I'll make I just came back from Florida. It was gorgeous down there. I'd rather stay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like a whole set of staff letters that we look for at the planning board, and it does get tricky because it's town in the town, but we still need them as part of our.
Yeah, so normally what happens is once it gets submitted to planning board, I then get the request. I fill out my typical letter, and I'll do that. I'd be happy to.
Yep. Usually the police chief does too.
Yep.
Just so we get all our T's crossed.
Makes perfect sense.
Make sure you can get there in case of a fire. Reach everything in case of a fire.
I think I know where I'd be going, but I don't know.
So that's it. But I mean, we can let them know, or they can stay. I just want to talk about our next steps because, well, if they have any more questions, we can wait. But I want to see, like, you have a check sheet, he has a check sheet, and I like them both. They're pretty much the same.
They have that green line in there. Mine was good. I think it was just hidden under the cross section.
Okay. Thank you. But I do want to keep our committee for the last couple minutes because I want to see where we're going to go forward with this. Just who's gonna, you know. I know you said you worked on it yesterday and you've worked on it. We just want to get everybody on the same page.
Well, basically the difference between the two different forms are she's got the bylaws highlighted and I've got them in a separate column. But other than that, they should follow.
So how do we come together on one? Like to decide, like.
Well, I thought we did by going over the last 11 and then it was.
Right.
Well, that's what I did. I finished that up.
I don't think it matters, but the thing that I'm concerned about is that you not use the revised language.
No, we're not.
So you need to use the original language. So.
You mean for the fire station?
For the fire station.
Right.
So
we're just talking general. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I personally would feel more comfortable if you didn't see the revised language on the checklist, because then you are not tempted to look at the wrong language. So this spreadsheet has the language in the design guidelines.
Well, but this is also the same revisions as far as changing the sentence structure.
Foxborough is here.
So this comes from the zoning bylaw. So it's the words that you have been talking about, like, you know, changing adjacent to, you know, within the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That changes the meaning of the design guidelines. So you can't use the revised language.
Right, but that doesn't apply to the fire.
Yeah, we're not using it for the fire.
Right. I think we all understand.
So in the future, if we all leave and new people have to come in, we've got this together.
Yes.
Right? Because we may be gone after the.
And to me, I was thinking for the planning board, Mark showed the old and the new. So when I describe it to the planning board, I can say, this is the old wording, this is the new wording, not.
I don't think you should talk about that tonight.
Oh, no.
Because it's two different issues. There's the fire station that's before you currently, which you have to use the old guidelines and the old standards. And then there's the whole new rubrics that we've been working on, which I think it would be better to talk about at a future meeting when it's 100%, you know, where it should go. You know, everybody's happy with the language and you're presenting it to the ZBA and the planning board for their feedback. So
what is it?
Because
ZBA and
you report to the ZBA.
If you read the zoning bylaws, it says the design review guidelines are changed by the design review committee. Not that I want to fight this out. I don't care if they say it was like 10 words that were changed. But I wasn't going to bring it up as part of the fire station discussion tonight. When we go through the committees at our last meeting, you know, they were talking about the design review and they asked about, I mentioned the rubric. So I was just going to say it's in process. Like that's, I'm not using it towards this. I think everybody's confused.
I don't want anybody to be confused, much less the planning board, thinking that, you know, these new guidelines are gonna be assigned to the fire station, because I think that's gonna make a lot of
almost
people
gets a
upset.
perfect score though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I went through with the old guidelines and they scored very, very well.
Right, and there should be no
in my
difference.
interpretation, but I guess I'm just concerned about confusing everybody.
Get through the fire station with the original documents. Work on the new ones after the fire station is clear.
Yeah.
Because if you mention it or introduce it to anybody at this point, it's gonna raise questions and you're gonna breed confusion. Guaranteed.
Yes, yeah, I wouldn't
The
go
problem is
with
that both new.
So hold off on
it. I agree.
Just cool it for a little bit, just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Especially, you know, going to town meeting. I think it's safer to just keep the two issues completely separate. And so nobody is concerned that the wrong standards are being applied.
Again, there are no differences, really.
There are.
There are.
There are
There are pretty
significant
significant
Talking about
differences.
But
Right.
but it hasn't even been approved yet, so we're going to, I already know that, yeah.
So I say our guidelines don't have these sections.
Well, we'll do that after the fact.
The other thing
That
you want to come down to it,
anyway.
it's the conditions in the special permit, what's in that red book,
Right.
and this doesn't matter.
Right, well, they're all together on a check sheet now. But I did go through it, not for the fire station or anything, just in general, and it would make it very easy, this board and the planning board, just have a check sheet. And for an applicant.
It was helpful for me, you know, I went through the exercise. And I put my little notes here to kind of substantiate why I voted a certain way, or, you know, I just did checks for the most part. And then, of course, it tells you what districts are applicable, so before you mark, you look to see if it's not applicable or applicable. So yeah, it definitely made my review easy.
And I think as a board member too, like for years, like you go through the book, every single application, now we can go through this and
right,
so much easier, which is what you just said, yeah.
So we're gonna have to put Mark's name on it someplace.
Oh no, everybody, well,
Well, this is.
Contributor.
okay.
No, I don't think I want my name too much tied to this committee.
Right?
Yeah, I got it in a newspaper article.
Or get used to that.
Poor volunteers get dragged through.
Yep.
All right,
All right, so we're all set.
yep, I think we're all set.
okay, wonderful.
So do we vote to adjourn?
Yes, I move to adjourn. Have a second, please?
I'll second.
All right, we don't have to do a roll call vote, we just raise our hands.
No, you don't even have to do that, you just say it. You just say all in favor, and then you say yay. That's unanimous.
Yeah.
Any
Say,
opposed?
say all in favor.
Some people do have gavels, did John Rand at one point had.
I think we do have one in that file over there.
Okay, so you guys all voted, so we're good.